Glenn, it was lovely knock, and you scored a century in the newly beautiful Qaddafi Stadium. So feelings with new stadium in Pakistani ground and winning a match against that team for which your first game is very important in Champions Trophy. So how you will express your feeling in this new stadium, playing wonderful and scoring a century?
Obviously, Pakistan Cricket Board has put a lot of money and effort into refurbishing it, and I think they've done a fantastic job. The pitch played really well. The block is incredibly hard. The outfield is rapid, and I think that's all the elements of a fantastic cricket ground. The pitch is spun. Some stayed low, some bounced really well, and I think that created a really good contest. And if the pitches are like that going forward into the Champions Trophy, I think it's a fantastic effort from the PCB, the ground staff, and everyone involved with getting the stadium up to the standard that it is.
First off, is there an update on Rachin?
At this stage, he's been conscious the whole time, which is fabulous. Obviously, it was a pretty rough knock, and I think we'll just take it each day, and he's been monitored as he goes.
You started off a little slowly. You scored about 28, 29, your first 40 balls you faced, and then you really accelerated. We saw, other than Fakhr, that it was the same with the Pakistani batters. Was it the kind of pitch where you take your time before trying to go harder?
I don't think it was necessarily about taking time as much as actually being able to hit the ball into gaps. If the ball was on a really good length, some were holding, and then some would skid on quite nicely. And I think it was a real 50-50 bounce on the block, whether you managed to get it through the gaps or whether you found a fielder. And I think that was just an overall theme for every batter today, that until you were on about 25 or 30 balls, it was pretty hard to actually find any fluency. But after that sort of mark, it definitely became a little bit more doable with finding gaps and finding boundaries. As I said, the outfield was lightning, so that also made a lot of work, made a lot of like easy work for us at the end of the innings, being able to find gaps and boundaries at the end to make up for our little bit slow in the middle.
Glenn, Pakistan being a home team went with one specialist spinner, and New Zealand being away team went with two specialist spinner. What you were thinking about the condition at the time?
I think it's actually a very similar lineup to what we play at home. We generally go with the two spin specialist spin options, and then you've got myself and Rachin as well, who offer the all-round spin options. So and then it was obviously a no-brainer to go with the three big fast bowlers. They all bring a different element to it. War with his height, Tezza with his ability to nip it on pretty much anything, and Sears, he brings a lot of energy and a lot of fire. So I think the lineup was always more just about what suits us best, and obviously the pitch happened to turn really nicely, and being able to have that many spin options was helpful. But I think from Pakistan's selection perspective, they had two all-rounder spin bowlers and one specialist spinner, and I think that was plenty for the pitch that was produced at the end of the day.
Well, Glenn, congratulations on winning the first match. Moving on to the second game, you guys must be feeling confident about facing South Africa in the second match. You have played your first match on the Qaddafi Stadium. You have accessed the conditions. So how are you feeling after winning the first game? You guys must feel confident or taking on the second game against South Africa.
Yeah, we try not to get too high when we win and too low when we lose, and I think that's a key element of this side and the culture that we've got going. We just try to keep giving to each other, and every game and every situation is different, and for us to be able to go out there, keep giving to each other, adjust to what the conditions put in front of us. And I think the different skill sets that the boys have, we definitely have our bases covered to be able to obviously have firepower at the end, work things over in the middle, and guys at the top of the order doing their job all day of the week. So I think for us going into the next game against South Africa, we're going to take it one step at a time, one ball at a time, and I guess just keep our situational awareness as high as possible.
Glenn, Shaheen is one of the leading and prime fast bowler of Pakistan, but you totally outclassed him. So can we say that you have done a special preparation for the Shaheen?
No, not necessarily special preparation. Obviously, the boys, Shaheen, Rafi, Naseem, they're all incredibly good at that reverse swing side of things, and their death bowling is very high class. So today, we talk about trying to not necessarily leave all our effort and our firepower for the boys at the death, because they are incredible death bowlers. But I think sometimes when someone's on a heater and pressure is on, it definitely means that bowlers can miss. And obviously he's a world-class bowler, and unfortunately today he probably missed it a little more than he would have liked. But obviously as a batter, I'm not going to complain about that.
Glenn, congratulations on your first ODI century. The question is, which moment you enjoyed more, Fakhar's wicket, Babar's catch, or your own innings?
Yeah, I keep getting that question. I love my bowling, so Fakhar's wicket is pretty nice. But no, I've said in a couple of interviews already that ODI cricket has been my favourite format growing up, and it's always something that I've been reaching for, to be able to get that century. Obviously, I try to keep myself process-driven as much as possible, and it's nice to have some of those fruits coming out from the process taking care of itself. And yeah, that was pretty special to be able to bring up 100, especially an overseas 100 in my favourite format.
Glenn, you mentioned in the studio just before that an ODI century is something that's eluded you for a while. Can you just talk us through that moment when you raised the bat, and also afterwards with the team when you came back off the field?
Yeah, it was a real moment. I've been chasing it for a couple of years now, and obviously batting at 6, it doesn't necessarily mean that your opportunities to score 100 are always there. And starting my professional career at the top of the order, hundreds were something that were a lot more achievable. But to be able to come into a position where I guess the opportunity lay in that number 6, 7 role and offering overs with the ball, it was always going to be a tough ask. Every sort of thing had to line up on the right day for it to happen, and thankfully today it did happen. I've had my chances in the past, but today everything lined up nicely.
Congratulations on your century, and I want to just know about the condition of Rachin Ravindra. How is it doing?
Yeah, he's doing all right. Saw him just in the change room just now. He's been conscious the whole time, so that's fantastic. Obviously, it was a pretty terrifying moment. He lost the ball in the lights, and unfortunately, the ball won that situation this time. And for him, we hope his recovery is fast, but we're monitoring him as we go each day by day. I'm sure he'll be raring to go as soon as possible, though. Happy with that?